Okay, see if I can talk over the wind a little bit. Hopefully I've got the camera blocked a little bit. But I've got a new little tool I'm trying to learn how to use. Now when we're trying to grow any kind of plants, anything from grasses to annual crops to trees, whatever, obviously they need roots. And one of the determining things about how well the plant is going to do is how far down the roots can go. A lot of times we seem to think that roots will go down to a certain depth and then they go off to the side. Well, if they're doing that, they're probably hitting a compaction layer. And there's lots of information, some of it, bit of controversy about how much compaction is okay, what causes it, things of that nature. But pretty much everybody agrees compaction is a bad thing. Well, how do you determine how much compaction there is? Well, you can take a backhoe or something and dig a hole and you can look for it. But another way is you use a compaction tester or a penetrometer. Now this can be as simple as a steel rod. Now you're going to want one that's smooth. You don't want like a piece of rebar, although if you've got it, probably with some practice, you may not get a number pounds per square inch, but you'll get a feel for it. But some of the better ones, this one, there's two different points on it, a smaller and a larger one, so that it's calibrated, so that you're actually, to measure pounds per square inch of pressure put down, you need to know how wide the tip is and a certain angle on it. So they calibrate them, and there's a dial on this, and I'll get you a picture of it closer. That as you press down, the dial goes up to indicate the pressure pounds per square inch. And usually they say down to about 100 psi, the roots can move pretty easily. That's pretty good. You get to 200 psi, and they're going to start having some problems. Some roots may be able to get through 200 psi, some may not. And pretty much the max for just about all roots is going to be around 300 pounds per square inch. Now, a compaction layer can be very thin or it can be very thick. So as you're pressing down on this and watching the dial, you may see that it goes up to 100 or 200 or whatever, and then you go down, a quarter of an inch to 6 inches deeper, whatever the range is, and all of a sudden it gets loose again. But now you've seen, if you're looking for the 100, you see where it hits 100 psi, and pull it out and measure that, and there's graduations on this every 3 inches. So you see where the top of that 100 or 200 psi is, and then you do it again and see when it loosens up, and that'll give you the bottom of it. So you not only know where the top of the compaction layer is, or multiple compaction layers, but you know how deep it is and where the bottom of it is. That could definitely be useful if, for instance, you're in a situation where you may need to use a subsoiler, a keyline plow, or something of that nature to rip that hard pan up, or depending on if you know what you're going to be trying to plant or something of that nature. So what this does, and I took the garden here, and I'll get a picture of this as well, and I just kind of laid out a grid. I just took a Google image, laid out a grid of 1 to 12 different spots. And I've got that on this picture because then I did a spreadsheet, and I'm going to come back multiple times over the year and check the depths and see if it's changing, like the places where we're not growing anything and all we're doing is mowing it, the places where there's a raised bed, the places where maybe we just put down compost and mulch and do it. Now, we don't till out here, so all of this is going to be no-till. But I'm interested to see if there are changes in the compaction layers different times of the year. Is it tighter now in the winter when it's cool, and we've had 5 inches of rain, over 5 inches since January 1st, and this is only the 18th, I think. So we're not even through a full month, and we've already had over 5 inches of rain. So is it looser now? Then maybe I come in June or July when we've had about 3 weeks with no rain whatsoever in those same spots. What is the compaction layer? And all I'm going to do, and again, I'll try to get some closer spots, but if you can see that dial, and this is called Agratronics, Agratronics. I just got it off Amazon, and I've got the small tip on it because, frankly, I weigh about 160 to 165 pounds. If I put the large tip on this, that's got about a square inch on it, I'm not sure that I would ever get it up to 200 pounds because I don't weigh 200. So either because of the ground is harder, or if you're lighter, you may have to use the smaller tip, but just pay attention to the dial, which one's correct. Now, I've been through this area already, and there's only a couple places where I got to 200, and I think that is a place where there used to be a driveway, and so there's a compacted layer, not only of where the driveway was, but there was chat, gravel, some kind of rock or something there, and I think that's what I hit. But everywhere else, I was never able to get to 200 pounds for the length of this. And see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It goes up here to 9. 27 inches would be the absolute deepest this thing even goes. And I got all the way up to 21 inches, and before I even hit 100 in a couple places. So what I'm really measuring right now is where do I hit 100, and if I hit 100 and say less than 10 inches, then I'll go ahead and push through and maybe get the bottom of the 100, and if I can find 200 where that is. But that's only one or two places. Again, I'm just going to press down, and I'm just watching that dial. And like right there, I got about 75, but it's being consistent. Right there I hit 100. So I'm going to put my finger right at the top of the soil, right where that is. And I've got 2 lines, and about 2/3 up to the third one. So 6 inches plus 2, 8 inches. So that's about 8 inches right there. Sometimes you'll hit a root, and I may check 2 or 3 spots right here. So if I do this again, okay, I hit about 50 or 70, then it loosened up, there's 100. And almost got to 200, then it loosened up, and right there, I hit something. I don't know if it's a pipe, I don't know if it's a root, I don't know if it's a brick, but right about there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, so 12, about 13 inches. About 13 inches I hit 200 at this spot. But anyway, I've got a lot to learn about how to use this thing properly. But I'm hoping it will be a tool that I can use to help really document changes in soil to make sure that we're not making things worse, and hopefully making things better, either in my yard, the community garden, market garden, or wherever. Okay, following up a little bit, said I'd show you the meter that I actually got and a few other little details. I got this off of Amazon. I did a little bit of research around, and I just get so much stuff from there. It makes it really easy. And you notice they've got several different ones. There's a Dickie John. There's a Agritronics, 182. Dickie John is 260. It may be worth it. I don't know, but this one looked pretty darn good. And this one, you see the Sensor 1 AGT. It's the exact same thing. So, 182 versus 298 for the same thing. Anyway, that's the one that I got. And you can click on it, and some of them, well, they may not do it here. See if we can find a better picture of like what the dial looks like. And you can find, actually, there's a YouTube video or two on them and stuff. So it's got a dial on the inside of the dial. Is if you're using so on the inside of the dial, if you're using the larger or wider tip, so this would be the green zone. They have it color coded. So for the roots, this should be a good green zone. From 100, well, like from 100 to 200 should be good. Yellow would be 200 to 300, whether you're on the smaller tip on the outside or the big tip on the inside. 200, 300 is 200 to 300. And then anything over 300 would be red zone. So, and what you'll also notice, when you unpack it, it has a little ring here with a thumb screw. You want to loosen that and move it. That's just a little safety thing to keep it from getting bumped if you drop it. Loosen that, move it down a little bit. And there's a couple of the tips get stored right in this area that kind of screw up there.